Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the simulcast. This stream is being simulcasted live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. Welcome everybody. Tonight we're going to be showing one chapter from the film Ultimate Buggin' in Home Defense, starring EJ Snyder from the hit show Naked and Afraid. All right, what do we got? Who do we have in here? Let me know. Throw your name in the chat. Say hello. We'll get this chapter started in a couple minutes. I'm not going to lie to you. I almost bagged out tonight. I only got about 3 hours of sleep last night. I had to drive for 5 hours. And then, man, I got back after work. I got here, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a quick nap. And I really didn't want to get up. I really wanted to catch up on some sleep. But I can't bag out on you guys last minute. I can't just disappear right before the stream and say, hey, you know what? I'm not coming. So here I am. Strap in because this chapter, I believe, is 27 or possibly 28 minutes long. Welcome, Marjorie Mahuda. Welcome, Anthony. Anthony, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your last name. I could try. Ground Fog, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Anatoly, welcome. He was the first one in the chat before we were actually on. Bobby, welcome. Welcome to the stream. All right, where's Heather Lee? Is Heather Lee going to be late again tonight? Heather Lee is a subscriber to Survival Summit, so she actually has access to all of our films. So I guess if she's late for this one and she misses the chapter, she can just pull it up on our website and she can watch the whole film anytime she'd like. So if she's late, she won't really miss much because she already has access. If you guys haven't picked up the book yet, before we get into the stream, Pace Planning, your guide to emergency preparedness and bug-out strategies, is now available on our website, Amazon, eBay, and I believe Practical Survival also has it available on... Oh, sorry. No, I'm thinking about something else. But that does remind me, on the TikTok shop, we don't sell our films on DVD anymore. Not right now. But I did notice that Practical Survival on TikTok is now carrying our DVDs. We sent them out to them to send out to some affiliates, and I noticed yesterday that they are actually live on the TikTok shop. So if you're looking for our DVDs, at least 7 or 8 of them are available now on the TikTok shop. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring DVDs back to the website. We may not. We have them on USB thumb drives, and we also have streaming as well. Or if you become a subscriber, you have access to all of the streaming, which is 40-plus hours of instructional films, plus another 30 hours of some old-school webinars with a ton of great information. All right, without further ado, let's see if I can do this correctly. I think I got it set up the same way we did land navigation last time. So without further ado, here is the chapter on bug-out bags from our film Ultimate Buggin' in Home Defense.
So let me clarify a little something. I talked a lot about, your get home bag, and you get to your vehicle, little kit, and the bug out bag. It's relatively all the same. It just fits whatever need and mode your transportation. They all are the same concepts. It's thinking about all your survival needs: shelter, water, food, fire, protection, navigation, all that stuff. So don't get too confused by that terminology. Basically, it's a bag to fit that situation, and if you're trying to get home in your vehicle, the bug out bag, get home bag, whatever you want to call it at that moment. Don't get wrapped around the terminology. The point is, you got the bag and you got what you need to keep your ass alive. So what it's going to come down to is a few things. 1, your budget, what can you afford? 2, your needs, and 3, what can you physically carry on your back? What kind of shape you're in. You may need to make some adjustments, and we'll talk about that too. So we have many options. You may want to be the gray man, and you may want to carry a bag like this one. Nice basic gym bag. It's a regular school backpack. You've got your items, everything we're going to talk about here, you can have in here, and it works. Here I have a Grandy bag. This one here has got everything you need in it, plus I've adjusted for this environment. Like we've had some snow this morning, so this has got some winter things added to it. We're going to talk about those conditions as well a little bit later on. You may be one of those traditionalists that likes one of these little haversack packs. These things are really cool. They're canvas, got nice leather straps, and that looks like an everyday bag for the most part for, someone that's going to be in the forest. Regular black pack. It looks like, this is the one I've had earlier. It's got some MOLLE. Could look semi-military, but I can make this into a quick small arms for pistols bulletproof vest for me, which is, if that's what you want to carry. It makes it a little bit heavier, but you got to think about weight. You could be a compartmentalized kind of person. It may be very important for you to have body armor, have your magazines and all that. And inside this, you have lots of pockets. You can put survival gear in there and whatever, but you supplement it by getting yourself a smaller pack with all your survival gear that you need. And inside this pack, I got everything I need for fire, for food, even water. I just add this kit to it, and this has got all the water stuff. So that makes to where I have several items on my person moving about, because that's all I want to carry. For me in this situation, protection would be the key, and that's the need I have. I want to be protected because there's a lot of bad people in the area, and I know I'm going to need these magazines to protect myself and my loved ones. They even have you can have a smaller pack set up, but there's a lot of stuff in here. These little packs, you can jam it full of everything you need. You can attach outer things like a medical kit. And, work smarter, not harder, I always say. But this is a little bit smaller pack, but you can put a lot of stuff in there. It just comes again back down to your needs. So here's one, the hiker's backpack. This one's about a 58 liter. I have a Gregory that's 65 liters because I'm a larger guy. My clothes are bigger, take up more space. But the great thing about these is if you're going longer distances, the way it rides on your person. And sure, it's more expensive, but you can pay for what you get half the time. So you got to figure out where you're going to invest your money that makes the most sense for you. But you see, it's got the extra padding. This back pad here that keeps it off your back, keeps you cool, comfortable. It cinches it all in, it adjusts just right. And when you snap this in, so when your body's moving, it's not moving all around, beating you up, putting sores on your back. You don't need those extra problems when you're trying to bug out. So this is a great setup. And normally you can put a pretty good bit amount of weight in there. And if you have the right frame system, you can carry a lot more weight. Here's another example of that. It's a little bit of a different system, but these are nice. They look really hard, but they're nice rubber cushioning, and you got the padding, and all this adjusts to your body. And you've got plenty of room for all your gear. So when you put this on your back, it's going to ride a lot higher on your torso. Men and women, where a man's center of gravity is more center of the chest. Females, it's going to be down here in the hips. But never discount, no matter where that center of gravity is, a good waist belt. You put this on your hips with that waist belt and you get it locked in here, all right? So I take this waist belt, it's adjustable, cinch this in. Essentially, it's gonna carry most of the weight on my hips and give my shoulders a break. But these are so comfortable. Then it comes with this nice chest strap. And once you cinch that in there, tighten it up, pulls everything in tight, and you can move a lot easier as compared to the torture for years. My good old military pack, which I still love. This was my baby for a lot of years. And we did everything we could to figure out how to make it as comfortable as this. And when the military, went to this system for a while, and we were get down in the prone position to try and fire our rifles, our heads, you just couldn't lift our heads up because of the way the pack was designed. That's why these sit lower. Also, this one's like a backpack, but it's a hunter's backpack. It's still got all the same things as the other one, but the great thing about this is it's got a spot for your rifle. You're taking a rifle, it's part of your bug out plan, and you want to hunt or your bow, this thing will accommodate that, plus all the gear you need. And there's some smaller backpacks out there. This one's from Mystery Ranch. It's not a bad one, it's a small one, but see how comfortable it is. You got all these pads, and a lot of it I just showed you comes down to your physical ability and what you can carry, and then again what you need. Here's another supplemental item. It's a Camelback, a type pack. It's got a water hose in it. It's got some pockets. You can stuff some stuff in there, and you add it to this. Now it's all compartmentalized. So again, going back to need, where are you living? If you're in a city, and you got a bug out, you may want something a little more inconspicuous. That's not drawing attention to yourself, but you could be in Montana, and hunting is part of your plan for when you bug out. So you may want the hunter's backpack. You may like the loadout system. What is your needs for a loadout? Some bags, like this one, zips from the top, you pack it in, you're limited on certain pockets. I like these outer pockets because the critical items I might want for, like, let's say nighttime, I can have all my flashlight, my headlamp, if I have night vision goggles, I'll have those on the outside, like medical kit. Medical situation happens, you don't want to be digging in your pack looking for that medical kit. So it's on the outside, easy access. Even some of these bags, like this military style backpack, all right, it's designed for the military mostly, and folks get out of the military, but they want to they still operate that way. And this one loads, basically you can see all your stuff, loads from the front. You got some more MOLLE in here, so you can put some other pockets in there just for whatever your needs are. Maybe you want to have a pouch in there with your prescription meds, so you know right where it's at. So how you organize it is up to you. It's got another inner pocket here. There are so many bags out there. I was looking for the perfect go bag, and I must have went through 20 of these things just looking for which one I wanted. So this is pretty good one because it zips really quick, and then off you go. So it's got this Y zipper system, and as opposed to the regular backpack, which this one's great because a lot of your traditional hiker's backpacks, they may have a little netting pocket here for a water bottle, one over there, and maybe a top flap area. And then you got to open the whole thing up, and it loads from one way. It's got one big main compartment, loads from the top. But this one's really nice because it comes with these outer pockets, and it like I said earlier, I like to have my important stuff where I can get at on the outside. So, in my opinion, these are worth their weight in gold if you can have any kind of outside pockets to help you out. So certain situations where you live, when you've got this stuff in your vehicle, obviously you can carry more, and those environmental considerations need to be taken care of. For example, let's just say a winter snowy situation. Over here, I've got this nice Tent Smith's tarp. It's heavy duty. It can be configured into any situation I want, whether it's a lean-to setup or a A-frame, and it's just a really good thing to have. And I've got a few more things over here, like all this stuff, extra boots, shovel. Everyone needs to think about this, even just for blizzards. If you live in the north, it's almost like, I'm preparing for a hurricane. Well, in the north, with snows, they're going to prepare for winter. So you got a shovel to dig yourself out when you're trying to get home in your vehicle. So all this is necessary. Now, will you travel with it? Possibly if your car breaks down, and how do you do that to make life easier for you? Well, look at this thing. This is a jet sled, all right? And the jet sled is awesome. Just by having this sled inside the trunk of my vehicle, I can load up my go bag, I can load up all these other items, and I got this nice cord. It's gonna move along the snow a lot easier. No matter what the weight is, it'll make it a lot easier to move. When I was a paper boy, I had this, foldable shopping cart that used to put the groceries in. When people, I lived in New Jersey, so people were in the suburb area, and to go from their apartment or their home, they'd go to the supermarket, they'd use this little cart. It was foldable, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. And they'd load all their groceries in there and pull it along. It's a lot easier. You can do that. If you're not physically strong enough, you can just have all your stuff that's in your trunk. The vehicle breaks down, a lot better to pull it along and, almost like it's a wagon with all your stuff in it. They actually make these nice little beach foldable wagons that a lot of people go to the beach with, and they store all their, stereo, cooler, and all that stuff. Well, think of that and repurpose it for your bug out situation. And you can pull that very easily. And even a folding bicycle with a pullable wagon that you can have there to make your life a little easier. Just those are some of those special considerations for moving all the stuff you're gonna need. So there you go. A whole lot of options I've shown you. I'm sure anybody out there can find something here that fits their situation, their needs, their environment, what they can carry, and what you prefer. The fact is, it doesn't matter which pack you have that fits your situation. The fact is that you have one. And then more importantly, what are you putting in it? So what's in the bag, you ask? Well, here it is. I've laid out quite a bit of things here for you to consider. And really, what you need to just consider is not have maybe these exact things, but something in these categories that covers the 8 pillars of survival. Security and shelter, fire, food, and water, to medical, signal, navigation, getting where you need to go, as well as communication. And all of these things here are the things you need to consider to put in your bag. You may not have these exact things, but again, it goes back to what can you afford, what are your needs, and what are your skill sets. The first thing I want to talk about is security. I consider that part of shelter. And if you're trying to get from your work or wherever you're at back to your vehicle and then back from your vehicle to home and then you're bugging out, security is a key thing. So first off, I would say a good pistol. Make sure you have the training for this and all that, but a good pistol, it's inconspicuous, it's lightweight, easy to handle compared to a longer weapon like a shotgun. And you can carry this easily in several magazines to make sure you have enough to back yourself up and protect yourself. Next, shotguns are always good. This one here is a great shotgun by Typhoon. I've got this nice sling on it by Warrior Poet Society. It's pretty critical. If I really am wanting to protect myself and things are really bad, I'm probably going to go for a longer item like a shotgun. Shotguns are a great choice for you because when you fire a shotgun round, like a 12 gauge, it's going to spray. It's going to hit a bigger pattern. And normally once you start firing a shotgun, whoever is trying to do bad things to you, they're going to take notice and usually get the heck out of there. And then, we have a lot of military folks out there that just love a good AR. An AR, it's a longer weapon. Yes, you're going to draw attention to yourself, but these are great, not only for protecting yourself, but a 5.56 millimeter round. If you have to get some food, you got a good weapon that is going to be able to take down a deer or something and help keep yourself fed. And for me, on my EDC, this is a good, survival knife. I could use it for a survival test, but I like it because it's flat. And when I put it here on my sheath, I can carry it very flat to my body. No one will even know I have it. If I'm wearing it up underneath here, it's flat. You won't even see it. So I have another way to defend myself should I lose my firearm, which is never going to happen, but it could. And I have something else to defend with. And it also doubles because it's made out of 1095 high carbon steel. Means it'll throw a spark when I need fire. It's a good survival knife. So that's security. Now let's talk about shelter. If I have to set up shelter, I have a backup knife that's in the pack. It's a nice, good, just about a 5 to 6 inch blade. It's got a good handle. It's a full tang blade, meaning the steel goes all the way back here to the handle. I love full tang blades. I recommend them highly when you're trying to pick out a good knife for yourself for survival tasks, because the other knives, in my opinion, a rat tail knife as they call it, or a stick handle, even folding knives, there's a possibility of them breaking. And with the full tang, if something happens to the grip, or they call the scales, I can wrap it in parachute cord like this one. I can use tape. I can easily put something back. I can fashion out of wood 2 more new scale handles. But the point is I can make a new handle with a full tang and it's full steel. The great thing about these items is this is skeletized in here. You can kind of see those indents in there. If I wanted to with this paracord, I can wrap extra survival items in there like fishing hooks or tinder or something. Great items, and they'll help me with building shelter. I like to hedge my bets. I'm not going to be carrying an axe all the time, but axes are great for building shelter. A good machete is always helpful. This one isn't too long, but it's long enough to do good chopping, clear some brush out of the way. It's not too heavy. A lot of these axes you carry out there, woodsman axes, they can be a lot of weight. A good saw, good for cutting firewood. If you have to make your shelter, you can cut a few poles out. Cordage, parachute cord. There's some cord out there they call fire cord. It has fire tinder inside weaved in with it. It's good for making all kinds of things. Not helping you just with shelter, but fishing line, traps, all types of cordage. Any types of cordage you can have is good in a survival situation, especially with shelter. So emergency survival blankets are awesome. There's many kind out there. There's some really cheap Mylar ones that tear very easily. There's some that are almost thick enough that you can almost use them as a tarp shelter. And there's some rubberized ones. But the key thing with these is that they have a silver side to them. That's what protects your core body temperature. So hypothermia is always an enemy out there in a survival situation, just as well as overheating. So anytime you can shade yourself, keep you cooled down, or keep yourself warm, I highly recommend it. And this is like a multi-purpose item. It's also part of shelter, protecting your core body temperature. You can turn it around if you have a shelter built, like a lean-to or something, you got a fire going. The silver side will reflect heat down onto you and keep you really warm. And if you're looking to get rescued, you know, nice orange stands out. You can turn up the silver side. People are going to take notice. And it also falls into the medical kit as well. These ponchos are amazing. It's like the ponchos you used to have in the military, and they're lightweight. And here, I got 2 of them, so I can button them together and make an entire shelter, a tent, a really big lean-to area. If I have to, I can wear it as I'm moving. Keeps me dry. You want to protect your core body temperature, very important. These things are awesome. It's a bivy sack, which is it's not quite a sleeping bag, but with your clothes on, you get one of these things, man, for a quick few hours of sleep. This is great. It's very lightweight, compact. Look at that thing. It's basically the size of my hand almost. And if you wrap it with an emergency blanket, you know, kind of curl up with this a little bit more, anything to protect your core body temperature, this is very handy. I highly recommend it. With these items here, I've got many ways to make shelter. We talked about the Shamag earlier. That's always a handy thing to have. Next, I want to stay warm. So I got fire considerations. Remember, I always say backup to the backup. That's why I got extra knife. That's why I got a couple ways to make a shelter. I've got several ways to make fire. Lighter, all right? These stormproof matches, and these are like the Goliaths of matches. Look at this one. And the great thing about this is it's a long burn time, so if I have a tinder bundle, the wind is not going to affect these things. They're waterproof, and they burn really hot. And the great thing is they come in this waterproof case, and it comes in the top there, a little bit of cotton. So I can pull a little bit of that out, you know, put it in my tinder bundle and hedge my bets because it's very handy. You know, a little trick a lot of people do is take cotton balls and they'll dip them in petroleum jelly and put them in a Ziploc. Survival candle. This is huge. If your vehicle broke down and you decided to hold up there for a while and it was cold out, you just light a candle inside your vehicle or even in your shelter. It'll warm that shelter up depending on how closed off it is. At least 5 to 10 degrees, it'll raise that temperature. And that's huge, you know, when you're out there and it's, let's say 30 degrees, that's pretty cold. Jute twine, good for fires, good old fire steel. And my friend, my favorite, good old fat wood, or they call it lighter knot. Get you a bunch of that stuff in a container like this, close it up. Lighter knot can be found in the field, but if you can carry some with you, smells like turpentine, it's fine, that's right. That'll help you get a fire going fast. Now we got shelter and security, we've got fire. Now we're gonna talk water. A good old stainless steel single walled, this canteen right here, you know, there's some good ones out there. Clean Canteen makes them, really good ones. Yep, you hear that noise? You want to make sure it doesn't sound like a church bell when you ring it, like it's echoing. If it's echoing, it means it's a double wall canteen. And when you start to heat water up in that thing, and they're designed to keep whatever's inside there either very hot or very cold, there is a possibility that that pressure between that wall will build and it, you know, could explode on you. You don't want that kind of a problem. But the thing I like about this system is I can heat water up in here. I can heat water up in this cup. They slide together, easy to carry. You always have a way to have a fresh drink of water because when you can boil it, big bubbles, little troubles, never a problem. But I like to always carry 2 systems. Here I have the Grail water system. This is a really good geopress, they call it, to press the water out. The filter's on the bottom and you have a clean drink. It's very easy to use. You fill up the one container. That is a great system. So I got 2 systems to get a drink of water and carry water. Because in a survival situation, you know, dehydration, man, that's not good. And I have a backup system too. I have this Sawyer Squeeze. Sawyer's a very popular system. So you have the bottle to put the water in, put the filter right on top, ready to go. And now you just Fill it up with water. You can squeeze this into the bottle, into your mouth, whatever you want. And then there's water. There's military use a lot of water purification tablets. You got these aqua tabs. Those are very simple. You just drop them in the water, shake it up, wait 30 minutes, and then boom, you got a fresh drink of water in there. So you got all kinds of systems, right? To backups to the backup, you want to think about that stuff. Next is food. Yeah, you might only be trying to get home from your office to your car, but you never know what is going to happen. So you always want to be prepared. So these emergency rations, this is going to take you several days. If you ration it out, you can always extend your food supply, by a couple days, 2 or 3. Even though it might say, hey, this is a 3-day supply. If you cut that in half, you just extend yourself to 6. Yeah, sure. It's not what you would normally maybe eat, but in a survival situation, if you have to extend your rations, you got to think about that stuff for the long term. We've got energy bars. They're really good. Quick burst of energy. Take a bite, put it in your pocket, take another bite. Just keep your fuel going. Food is fuel for the situation to keep you moving. Granola bars, you can have trail mix. And these hydration powders are awesome for getting electrolytes back in your system, getting salts back in your system, which is critical for your whole body to work properly. So you're talking about functioning right, water, food, it fuels the body, keeps you hydrated, and keeps you in the fight. So now we got the core 4 covered: security and shelter, fire, water, and food. Now what are the other pillars of survival? Well, I'm glad you asked. So here we go. We got medical, right? And this emergency blanket, it also is part of the medical. Got a splint, got a whole first aid kit here, scissors, everything you're gonna want. If you have a problem out there, it's a smaller kit. And I always recommend you add to this kit some vital pain meds like aspirin, Tylenol, Motrin, whatever it is you need, and maybe some prescription medicines. If you are allergic to, like, say, insect bites, like bee stings or something, you want to have an EpiPen in there. Anything that goes back to your personal medical situation. All right, medical. Now we've got navigation. Good flashlight. Carry a headlamp. Keeps your hands free. You can see where you want to go. This thing does extra, it does red, it does white, so you've got options there. A lot of times people use the red light at night so it doesn't stick out as much, so you don't want people to know where you're at. A good pen and pad to take notes. Write down, like if you're navigating, you might want to write down key positions where you're going, or you might not want to keep looking at your map. You may want to write down the cardinal directions you're going if you're trying to navigate. Good old topo maps, right? If you go to topomap.com, you can get these. I love these because I was in the military. That's what I lived and died by. These topo maps. For navigation, they're critical. And if you don't have a good topo map of your area where you live, just consider at least having a regular old street map, or some kind of layout. Like a lot of cities will have. You go to the Welcome Center, they'll have a strip map of the city. Anything, information you can have to get to where you need to go, a map really helps out. And make sure you have like a good protractor or a map tool to help you when you're navigating. And of course, you're not going to be able to navigate unless you have a way to do it. So here, make sure you have some sort of a compass. This is one type. And the great thing about this is it has a signal mirror. I can signal for help with this mirror. These are old ranger beads, as we call them. They're pace count beads. And these things are awesome. So when you're walking, you can have it tied to the outside of your gear. And every 100 meters, so you know how far you went, just slide one of these little beads down here. Once you get to 1,000, slide one of these up, start over. So it just helps you keep track of how far you've gone. It's very critical when you're navigating. If you're moving, let's say, oh, I know after 600 meters I should hit a stream. And if I don't hit that stream, maybe I need to do a map check and figure out exactly where I'm at. GPS helps you navigate. Communications. Maybe you have a walkie-talkie that's your setup to talk to somebody. If your cell phone is not working, you have a backup system, or good old sat phone. These things are actually, you'll be surprised. You can go online and check out their system, and if you get a basic plan, they'll even give you a free sat phone. Who the thunk? And always have backups like batteries, things you need for whatever's powering your devices. I always recommend to people, if you're not going to touch an item for a while, put the batteries in backwards. So one, you have the batteries there when you need it, but two, they don't self-drain themselves. Even when you're not using an item, batteries will drain. Or get some solar panel charging devices so that you can charge all your electronic devices, whatever they might be, with one of these solar panels. So that's all the things that are in the bag. You can see what the key thing is covering.
All right, you guys may have recognized a lot of that gear. I forced EJ to use my winter supplemental bug out bag, my ice fishing sled, and my satellite phone, and a bunch of different things because I wanted to showcase some of the gear that we carry. The one thing I will say about the end of that, and we probably should have had it corrected, I wouldn't put your batteries in backwards, especially in some of the newer devices. I would put something in there to stop the connection, because sometimes if you put batteries in backwards, you can actually damage the device. So that's the one thing that I kind of wish we would have fixed in that film. Again, that film is Ultimate Bug-In and Home Defense, starring EJ Snyder from Naked and Afraid, and I can actually pull up that link for anybody who might be interested, and I'll throw that in the chat. You can get that film on a USB thumb drive, or you can also get that film, I think it's online. Yeah, I think we have DVDs still as well for that film, because we have quite a good amount of stock of those. So I'm going to pull up that link for anybody who might be interested. I'm just going to put the training link in so you can see all of the films if you have interest in that. All right, going to slap that in the chat. We filmed that with, actually, at the location where Survival Gear BSO is located outside of Pittsburgh. So thank you to Brian at Survival Gear BSO for letting us film there. And that film, I believe, is about 3 to 3.5 hours, and it goes over a lot of great stuff. It goes over getting home. It goes over the 5Ds of home security. There's just a ton of information. There really is a lot of training in that film. And I believe we produced that a couple years ago. So hopefully you guys have been looking into making sure that you have everything you need for personal defense. Shelter, fire, water, food, land nav, signaling, medical, not just first aid, but also trauma gear. And definitely, like I say all the time, don't skimp out on medical gear. Don't skimp out on a knife or a saw or an axe. There's a lot of things that you just try not to skimp out on anything. Try to get something that's quality, and make sure you're training with whatever you're getting so that you're very familiar with the tools that you're using. And it's also a great way to find out if what you bought is a piece of junk, because you'll be able to figure that out pretty quickly if what you have is not going to work very well. Or again, maybe it works great most times, but in the rain or in the wind or the weather, it gets gunked up and it doesn't work very well at all. All right. I think I'm going to end the stream a little early tonight because, again, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night. And I wasn't even going to come on, but I wanted to come on. I wanted to play that chapter of the film, and I wanted to say hello to everybody. But I'm probably going to float out of here. I'm going to wait a few minutes, and if anybody has any questions, you can pop them in the chat. Make sure, if you haven't already joined our Discord, I'm going to throw that link in there too, because you can also find EJ Snyder in our Discord. So let me pull that link. And I'll put the link to our Discord channel in the chat. So anybody that wants to join Discord, it's free. You don't have to pay to join Discord. I believe we have, about 120 or 123 people that are now in the Discord. It's not new. We've had it for a while, but it's still new in terms of, people jumping in voice channels, people kind of putting stuff in the chat. I think people are still feeling it out, but we do put a lot of information on there. There's a lot of updates that we put in Discord. And we have quite a few moderators. I want to say we have 7 or 8 different moderators. And if you have questions for EJ, you can go into his channel. It's called EJ Snyder Naked and Afraid. And just make sure you tag him at EJ Snyder and ask the question. Because if you don't tag someone, they may not see it because there might be a lot of things going back and forth on the Discord channel. Or if you have questions for me, you can just tag at the Survival Summit. You can put that in general chat or whichever chat room you feel like putting it in. And if you're new to Discord and you don't know how to use the voice channels, there is a mic check room as well. Just when you originally sign up, it's going to ask you to go to the rules section and type in agreed. Once a moderator can see that you've done that, sometimes it might take a few hours, or if you do it in the middle of the night, they might not see it till the next day. Once they approve you, you'll be able to see the rest of the channels. So that link is in the that link is in the chat. So if you want to check out Discord, please make sure that you do. I did get the extra topo maps and some street maps. So maybe Thursday we can kind of look at some of that stuff. I got to figure out the camera configuration for that to see how I'm going to make that work. I might actually get a second camera, not an expensive one, but a second camera that I can kind of put as an overview. So if I'm showing you something on the table, like especially a topo map, a 2-foot by 2-foot topo map, that I can switch camera views and you can look straight down on it and see the whole thing extremely clear. So I got to look into that. That may be something that I do. And then I believe, let me check the date, on Tuesday, March 4th. So next Tuesday, we're going to have, I have to confirm, but we're going to have a special guest from Graham Family Farm. And we're going to be talking about, well, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff. And she has a really nice TikTok channel, and we're going to go over some really great stuff. But I don't want to give that away yet. On Thursday, I'll give you guys more of an update on what that's going to look like on Tuesday the 4th. I just have to confirm that date, and I think should be able to confirm that by the end of this week. So it should be a very interesting stream. Hopefully, we won't have the same issues we had with Dr. Rowland at Jace Medical, where the audio got funky. Now that I have the new audio interface and I'm using a better mic with a XLR connection, I think it should be okay. Assuming that I can get the guest screen to show up properly, we should be good. So hopefully we will not run into any problems. We're going to try to get on much earlier and test it to make sure that we're good before we go live. All right, I don't see any questions in the comments section, so if nobody has any questions or there's anything else that you want to talk about, I am going to go to bed early and try to get plenty of sleep, and I'll be fresh and ready to go on Thursday. This Thursday, 7 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. So any of those channels will work, and I can see your comments from any of those channels in one chat window. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys again on Thursday. There's a small chance that I might stream on TikTok tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and that would be maybe around 6 or 7 p.m. So if you're not familiar with our TikTok channel, check us out on TikTok. And I may do a random live on TikTok tomorrow. I might even do a sneak peek showing the topo maps and the street maps and a couple different things when it comes to navigation, possibly. But it's not going to be a very long stream. But I haven't decided if I want to do that yet. So if I don't catch you tomorrow, I will catch you on one of these channels for the simulcast on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard.